As usual, I woke up today piecing together what's gone on for the past 21 years as I was framed and set up to be a not needed case file in 2009, years ago, and I have obvious identity theft since. I believe that parents are framed and then their money is robbed um, with the framing and lies that were dismissed. Billion-dollar problem, I believe many families' money is robbed, and that is certainly how it seems from what I've experienced and different things that have gone on. And so I wanted to uh, explain some facts from the uh, past 2 decades. But I was a very good mother, a very nice person. I'm sober in Alcoholics Anonymous since 1985. So I'm calmer and more patient than most, and very nice and sincere and sentimental, and an expert at parenting. And our lives were wonderful, happy, and great. And in the suburbs that we moved to in 1997. And I was a single mother, real estate agent who made a great living and provided well for my two daughters by myself without child support. When I was framed and slandered and set up to DCFS, I had had full physical custody and provided a loan without child support for 9 years. Now that is unheard of. How could that happen? Is still hard to fathom. It was not just, is why. It was manipulated, and it's obvious, and many hate crimes were done before this setup. And I don't receive mail in money as I should since I was set up. And it seems money is stolen from families who are framed to be a not needed case file. And so that's what I wanted to explain. In 2000, I was legally separated January 2000, and we did our custody visitation agreement with the legal separation January 2000. This says Nancy Gail Fox Taylor, full physical custody. And we had joint legal, and this was filed in the Van Nuys Courthouse January 2000. The community property was split in the house, and that was given to my ex-husband January 2000. He signed off the community property share on title, and that was all filed in the Van Nuys court. All community property and assets are split. Living as if you're single, January 2000. So the legal separation was just like a divorce, and filed in the court January 2000. And anyway, I provided a loan. Like I said, I was up at 4 a.m. selling homes on the internet 4 to 7 a.m. every day before my kids got out of bed. Then I ran around selling homes while they were at school and barely had time to eat lunch. I was the busiest mom on earth, and I decided that I'm going to work when my kids are busy, and when they're um, not busy, when they're at home after school and so on, then I'm not working. And that's how I gauged my time with a great time management system. I worked 3 hours before they got up. I worked while they were at school. Then after school, I picked them up, drove them around, and was at home. And maybe would do a couple things for work, like send a fax or do a search for houses and that kind of thing. But I decided I want to be like a full-time mother, and that's what I did. So I worked when they were busy, and I provided well as a real estate agent who was very busy. I sold 10 homes in our tract home neighborhood, and I got my real estate license in 1999, Nancy G. Fox Taylor. And I started shopping for a one-story to buy in the same area in 2001 because my mother told me she wanted to live with my daughters and I. And I'd shown her properties near us to see if she wanted to buy one and live by us. She said, no, I want to live with you and your girls. And so she said, where will my bedroom be? Because we had a two-story with all the bedrooms upstairs. And I said, don't worry, Mom. I'll sell the two-story and buy a one-story so you can live with us. And we both agreed we didn't want her going to an elder care. And she said she would only do that if she had to. And if she had to, for health reasons, she'd go to the one near our house, near where we lived. And we had this all agreed on in 2001. And I started shopping for a one-story house then, every day on the MLS, when I was always doing home searches for buyers and sellers and running comparables and sales, and that's what I did for a living. So I was constantly on the multiple listing service, reading about listings and sales and so on, consumed with real estate during my work hours, which were when my daughters were at school. And anyway, and or with their dad, which they were 2 days after school a week, and Saturday night to Sunday. And so I worked when they were busy, and when they weren't busy and they were home, and I was with them. And so that's how I managed my time, and worked very well, and our lives ran like clockwork, and everything was great and wonderful until the hate crimes began in 2005, which it just went from being so great to being so awful. And it's by what the gang stalkers did, the crimes they committed against us. For 4 years, then I was set up by lies to DCFS that were dismissed. So it's very obvious to me, because here I worked as a realtor. My income was based on how nice and honest I am, and friendly, and I'm a good person. And so everything was based on being positive, being nice, being honest, and ethical, and hardworking. And so that's how I got business, was by being referred, by doing a great job for buyers and sellers, and they'd refer me. And also worked my AA program that I learned in 1985. You do the footwork, and you turn the results over to God, and God will provide. He always provided, always worked, since starting in 85 until the stalkers swarmed. It just, I would always say, I'm taking the action, I'm doing the footwork, like previewing homes, emailing buyers and sellers properties from the MLS, and I'm faxing these papers, I'm printing this, and taking the action, doing the footwork, turning the results over to God. God will provide. I always made money by doing the actions, and a sale would come sometimes out of left field after I'd been looking at houses all day and sending emails to buyers and sellers. Phone would ring, and somebody asked me to write an offer that I was referred to. I didn't even know. And that's, or to list a house. And that's how I provided well, was by my faith in God, and knowing God will provide by the work I do. He always did. I always had faith, starting in 1985 when I got sober. Even before then, I know I work hard, money will come. And it always did. Always that principle worked for me. And I might have had almost enough for the next month's bills, or the 2 months later, and I'd work and work, and I'd say, I know I'll sell a house, I know I'll make money by the time all the bills are due, and I would. And it always, the faith principle worked. I worked, I trusted in God, God provided, money came in when I needed it, and it just always did, until the stalkers swarmed around and ruined my income, and ruined the positive ambiance in our lives. As I have positive thinking, my ways to be nice, friendly, and it was for me to get referred, and that's how I made money. Hard to make money when you have mean stalkers swarming around, vandalizing your house, stealing your couch, breaking in your car, robbing property, stealing your clothes from the house, and slandering you to DCFS. Kind of ruins the positive energy just a little bit. So it ruined the whole thing, my whole business, because it was all based on being positive, friendly, getting referred, and I made money that way. Trusted in God, money will come from work I've done, the actions I've taken, the footwork I did. Always money came in with the faith principle, always, until they stalkers swarmed around the mailbox, obvious to rob my money out of it and identity. It is, why else would they stalk the mailbox, storm around it, and park and stare at it and park in front of it? Okay, why would a person do that? An inhuman predator who has a whole lot of nerve, who's rude, to park in front of a mailbox or park and stare at it. Okay, that is not a person to me. That is an inhuman. It would be to steal the person's mail and money out of the mailbox and their identity, obviously. And that's what happened, unfortunately. And on and on. And it's just obvious they did all this to me to frame me, an overnight mom, to DCFS, to do ID theft. And I've explained it a million times over. And so I shopped for a house for 4 years so my mom could live with us. And I wrote offers on a lot of houses, and they were very similar to the one I bought. And I wanted an original dated house, to update it with plaster paver and hardwood, and to have like an authentic Spanish look. And I knew exactly the style of house, a clay tile roof, 1 story or bedroom down. And I knew exactly the style and look of house I wanted. Those were the types of houses I wrote offers on from 2001 to 2005, when I finally bought a house. And that was offer number 6. And I was a realtor who bought their own house. I was a realtor searching for my own house every day for 4 years. And when the right type of house would come up, print the MLS sheet, run and go see it. And that's what I did, is I had specific buyer criteria. I wanted a clay tile roof, bedroom, bath down, or 1 story, like 2,500 square feet, which is what I bought, or 2,400 or 20. I think I searched up to 2,600 square feet and up to 1 million. And I wrote offers on original dated houses that were fixer-uppers, and the offers were not accepted because they were contingent on selling the 2-story house. So in 2004, I said, I'm going to sell the house and buy an '05. And I said, I'm going to finish the updates, carpet, paint, tile. And I decided I'm going to refinance my 2-story loan to do the work, to get it ready to list and sell, instead of using the money I saved in the bank for bills. And I had $30,000 in the bank December '04. And because I found an old bank statement recently, and I often would have 20, 30, 40, or 10,000 in the savings for the next month's bills. And that's how I manage my money. I don't charge. I quit charging probably 30 years ago, and I use cash. So I would try to get ahead of myself, and I would keep money I made selling homes in my savings account, then transfer money each month to pay the bills. And then I would figure out how much extra I had after the next 2 months' bills were covered, say, like, oh, I'll take 1,000 for Christmas or something like that. And then I'd go to the bank in person and transfer my savings money to my checking and spend what I planned. And that's how I budget, and it worked always very well in my life. And that is, if I walked in a store, like say to buy real estate clothes, I would have said, okay, I'm going to spend 200 to 400 on suits at the Limited. I remember doing that in '05. And I'm going to go there and buy new suits, and I did on sale, but I'm the type who decides what I'm spending at a store before I walk in the door. And that's how I managed my money. And I was still, if I had any to manage, I cannot get ahead of myself since I was set up to DCFS because I have obvious ID theft. But I'm one who would say, okay, maybe my daughter needed new ballet clothes, toe shoes and leotards and tights, and I might have said, we're going to go spend 150 at the ballet store. So I'd go to the bank, transfer 150 from my savings to my checking, and spent what I planned and what I needed to spend on her and budgeted for. And that's how I managed my money very well. I kept the money in the savings for bills. I'd see what extra money I had after the next, say, month or 3 months bills were paid and say, oh, I have about this much extra uh, uh, to do such and such. And I'd figure out how much can I spend on Christmas, transfer it to my checking, use my ATM card, and that's how I manage my money. And as I said, I don't charge. I pay cash. And so that way it kept my bills low. My monthly net is I didn't have credit card bills that were accumulating and getting bigger every month. I did not have that. I stopped doing that 30 years ago, approximately. And that I went to a 12-step program that taught me how to manage money, where they teach you, it's called DA 12-step program, and they teach you to keep cash in the bank for bills and to not charge and to pay only the minimum on a bill you owe, to not pay it off. That way, you're not stuck needing to borrow money or charge. So that's their program. And if you paid your bill off, that would be called a slip in the DA 12-step program. And that's where I went to learn to consolidate debt. And this was after we bought a house in Valley Glen that I bought with my 50,000 from my townhome I owned and sold, by the way. Just saying this. And as I've owned 4 properties, and gang stalkers ran us out of the last house I planned to be my last house forever. And anyway, so this was when my older daughter was a baby, was very young, and here we were, homeowners in a house with a yard and a swing in the tree, and a beautiful family home in Valley Glen. And suddenly I'm married, I have a baby, I own a house, and anyway, uh, so I had to consolidate our monthly bills. And because I did have charges cards then and charge bills, which makes your monthly nut higher. So I went to this program, DA, 12-step program. I teach you to manage money. And their principle is do not charge, do not pay more than the minimum, use cash only. And if you don't have the extra cash, then you could pay less than the minimum. Like if someone owed a credit card bill, which I haven't had for 30 years, but say $100 credit card bills come, they would say just pay 30 and keep your cash to live. The point of the DA 12-step program is to not have stress. It's to not have stress and to have money, cash, to have fun with and to enjoy your life instead of using it all to pay bills. So their motto is do not pay off a bill. Pay the minimum so you keep your cash to live. And that's a principle and program I go by for 30 years. And that's a fact. And they teach you to write your money down, which I don't do, because everybody does everything online now, and you can just look at your bank statement in 2 seconds and see what you spent, which I do that. But anyway, they teach you to write everything down, everything you spend, gasoline, the market, every single penny. So you learn how to manage your money. And I do it in my head. And I walk in a market, or I'll say, before I walk in, Okay, I'm going to spend $40 at the market. Used to be always be $80, of course, when I was a single mom marketing. And anyway, I'll say I'm spending $40 at the market. I add up what I'm spending as I'm shopping automatically in my head. Same thing with clothes. If I say I'm going to go spend $100 on clothes, then I would uh, I would add up the price tags in my head and spend what I planned. And that's what I do. I budget what I'm spending and I spend what I planned. And now I do it on Amazon all the time. I say I'm spending this much on makeup on Amazon, and I see right on there how the total. So anyway, that's how I have managed my money. That's how I it worked very well as a single parent, real estate agent, and it worked great. It worked very great. I provided very well. I paid for Royal Academy of Dance lessons. Um, for my younger daughter when she was 4 to 14 years old, till I was set up to DCFS and then had no income. And my other daughter, I leased a horse for her when she starting in the 6th grade for several years. I'd say 6th grade to ninth or 10th grade. So I paid for horses, ballet lessons, tap and jazz, and I worked hard to provide well for my daughters so they'd have a great life. And that's what drove me to work hard, was to pay for things for them. And that's what I spent my money on, my daughters. And I paid for theater arts camps and uh, and when I started making a lot of money and selling estates in addition to homes, then I would take them to buy clothes they loved and when they were teenagers and that's what drove me to work hard, was to provide a great life for my two daughters. And here I am paying for everything myself, and then I'm for 9 years, and then I'm set up and lost custody and legal custody when the lies were all dismissed without prejudice. That is just heartbreaking. It is unfair. It was wrong. It should have never happened. And anyway, it should not have happened, obviously. And it's by what others did to us, which appear as have seemed like hate crimes. And so I refied the 2-story tract home we'd moved to in 97 to update it and to sell it. And so I refied it. So it just made my fixed mortgage loan payment a couple hundred higher because I thought it might take a year or two to sell it. I don't know. And I thought I'm just going to refi to a fixed loan, and I don't know how long it'll take to sell. And anyway, so and I kept my 30,000 in the bank, December '04, that I saved from selling homes to pay bills, and that way I could breathe. And I learned this, as I said, in the DA program. You don't charge, you don't debt, and you keep cash for bills. And that's how I managed very well. And that's a fact. And it's horrible that I have ID theft and can't make a penny anyway. And I can't get a penny of Fox Taylor Family Victims money that I've tried to get for 17 years. As obviously it's all stolen. I believe they're doing this to a lot of families. And $1 billion problem, family court, broken families, why I chose this photo, is I believe they're robbing now a lot of families money with framing they do to nice parents. From what I've read on Facebook, I'm not the only one who's experienced this sort of thing. And anyways, there are many Facebooks who want to change the CPS DCFS system because it's so unfair, and because there's case files when there shouldn't be case files, when problems could be solved easily. But nobody tells you what the false allegations are or the lies that are being told in reports. So you can't dispute them and say, no, that's not right. No, this happened. No, here's the proof. And that's how I was set up, with false allegations, lies behind my back to DCFS that I didn't see till a not needed court date, and then they were all dismissed. Then I lost custody, physical, and joint legal when the lies were all dismissed. Then I have ID theft since. Okay, that is not just. It is not fair. It never should have happened. It ruined my 10-year real estate income. And ruined a lot, obviously. And you're supposed to be, anyway, I was 50 years old when this happened. And that was the last house I planned to buy. And I would have been there with my income doubled and living there happily forever, having Christmas every year for the rest of my life there. And you're supposed to have what you earned in your life by your good character, by being honest and forthright and ethical and sincere, and you're supposed to have a payoff, and it ruined my retirement plan too. I plan to get real estate referral fees the rest of my life, as most realtors do. Most realtors, they sell real estate till they're too old, then they sell their business for 50 or 100,000, then get 20% referral fees from all their buyers and sellers, their customers, the rest of their life. Retirement, 40,000 a year or 20,000 a year. It ruined my real estate referral fee retirement plan, and it ruined my plans to live in that house forever. I knew I'd have $1 million equity in the house by the market going up, by the updating I did, and that's the house I bought. Anyway, it's such a long, complicated story that I look back and piece things together that went on because people were mad for nothing and did hate crimes and set me up. And so in February '05, the loan funded from the two-story refinance, and 20,000. I added up what I was spending with a calculator as my good DA 12-step program I work, and I wrote down carpet paint tile, and I wrote down 18,200. That was my estimate. I wrote on a paper, added up with a calculator, and I said I'm going to get 20,000 from the house in the refinance, do the updates, list and sell it. And that's what I did in February '05. And then I had it ready to list in February '05 to sell it and buy another house. Listed it around the first week of March in '05. And then the perfect house came up. And at this time, I want to say also, I did a makeover on myself that I planned to do. It seemed people were mad about that. By what was done, because my True Religion jeans I bought after the diet were stolen from my closet. So, and that was about 4 pairs of $200 jeans that I bought because I lost 25 pounds. I lost 4 sizes. I was so happy. I looked the way I looked in jeans in my 20s. I bought 4 pairs, and I was just really glad I lost weight and looked good in jeans again. And anyway, and so I went shopping and bought 4 pairs of jeans at Macy's. One was or tan cotton True Religions, and I bought a black pair, a blue jean pair of True Religions, and I bought another style jean. Anyway, and they went missing from my closet. So it seems like hate crimes, like women were mad I looked good after a diet and jeans. That's how it seems. Why would 4 pairs of True Religions get stolen from my closet when I had seen women parking on the street, white BMWs, white Volvos, standing outside of their car in business clothes staring at the mailbox on a post? I saw a locksmith truck parked on the street, and I feel they got in key and stole my True Religion jeans. So it seems like hate crimes, like they were mad I look good in jeans after a diet. And anyway, December '04, I went on, I believe it was the Atkins diet I had in a book. The book was a low-carb diet book, Atkins Diet. And in '04, I said, I'm going to go on a diet and lose weight and do a makeover on myself. And so I started this Atkins, I think that's what it was, low-carb diet from the book, and I lost 25 pounds. And I looked like myself again. I looked the way I looked in my 20s. I looked good in jeans again, which hadn't I hadn't wanted to buy expensive clothes for 15 years. I was a stay-at-home mother for 14 years. My kids were not well, they were older in 2005, and up until then, I didn't go out at night. I had no reason to buy expensive clothes. I didn't want to buy them if I had weight to lose. Okay, I would never have bought $200 jeans if I needed to lose weight, because that'd be a waste of money. So this was a permanent weight and permanent jeans to wear a long time. It seems people were mad and stole them from my closet. And to me, they were an investment. I'd wear them 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And I stayed the same weight. I never gained the weight back. And for a while, I was too skinny because of being so robbed and victimized. And anyway, it's unbelievable that I went from making $150,000 a year selling homes, selling estates that I listed and sold, and well, I listed estates and I sold estates, and I sold a lot of properties for around $1,850,000 from 1999 to 2009. Here I went from the $1,000,000 home I wanted to live in the rest of my life, and providing well and being prosperous and everything great, good, and wonderful, to being set up. And suddenly I'm walking across the San Fernando Valley flat broke and couldn't pay my cell phone bill. That is what happened when they set me up. And that alone, it ruined my whole business. I couldn't pay my cell phone bill. Even my child support arrears payment didn't come in the mail. And they took my kids by not needed emergency custody to their dads in North Hollywood. And there was no reason to. They called on my cell and told me, DCFS, and I said, there's no emergency. What's the reason? And they said, well, you'll find out Thursday in court. And they said, you haven't been to therapy yet. They didn't even call and ask me if I'd been to therapy. I was told reports were done to DCFS, and I knew, well, there's nothing anyone could say. Never hit or spanked my kids. I don't yell and scream. I'm over nice, patient, calm, sincere, sentimental. The best mom on earth who provides so well. I did nothing wrong. I don't drink or do drugs since 1985. I'm a long-time sober person, a mature 50-year-old who's centered and calm and patient. There's nothing anyone could say, is what I thought. I said, there is nothing anybody could say about me to DCFS, so nothing could become of this, is what I thought. Nothing could become of this at all because I did nothing wrong. And then I'm called and told they took my kids by emergency custody. And when there was no emergency, I came home and their bedrooms were empty. It is just hard to believe. Then my child support arrears even stopped coming. And there I am. My car had broken down. That's when I was set up. A single mom whose car broke down. And I told DCFS when they had come to the house that I was owed $120,000 in back child support. And I was owed for camp and braces, orthodontist bills, and I showed them everything I paid for, that I was owed half. I showed them the child support filed at Child Support Services over $120,000. I showed them the visitation schedule that showed they hardly had seen their dad for about 4 years, except my younger daughter Saw him about 2 hours a week. I showed him everything. I paid for everything. I'm owed this money. My car broke down. Now, wouldn't you think they would have said, we got to get the mom money. She's provided a loan all these years as owed child support, and she has full physical custody, and the kids are always with her. They were teenagers. You would think. So I thought nothing could ever become of this. And then in July, I'm called and said, told, we took your kids by emergency custody. I'm like, well, there is no emergency. What is the reason? You'll find out Thursday. And that's where I saw the false allegations, the lies. They were all dismissed without prejudice. So the case was opened based on lies that were dismissed without prejudice. And there was no reason for a case file at all. There was no reason for DCFS to ever come to our house. When they did the not needed emergency custody, my younger daughter was at her dad's in North Hollywood for summer visitation already. She was not even at our house. She was at her dad's in North Hollywood. So why would they say they're doing emergency custody when she's already living at her dad's for the summer? And my older daughter was almost 18 years old. And that's what happened. And it ruined college money that was applied for under my name, the mother's name, and grant money, college board money for my older daughter was all done under my name. And so it affected that, and affected a lot of things in our lives, including Royal Academy of Dance ballet lessons. I paid $330 a month for 10 years, and it's just hard to fathom. There was no reason to take my kids by an emergency custody. There was no emergency. And that was a big setup, obviously, by, I believe, the hate crime gang stalkers and mailbox stalkers and True Religion clothing thieves, it seems to me. And so I piece it all together, and seems they were mad for nothing. And anyway, in December 04, I started the makeover, and I believe they were mad. I lost weight on a diet. That's how it seems, like jealous hate crimes. So I started the diet, and I lost 25 pounds. I bought all new clothes in size 2 or 4, my old size. And anyway, and I decided I'm going to get Ristylane done, get rid of my wrinkles. I was 45 years old, and when I did the makeover in 2005, and I just got Ristylane for wrinkles, $450, and lost weight, 25 pounds, I would say, and I went from a size 8 or 10 to a size 2, which is my normal size. I was in my 20s and looked good in jeans again. And I was a costume designer on movies and feature films and TV shows for many years in the 80s and early 90s, and I was nominated for an Emmy, and that was my job. Part of my job was making the leading actress look their best. And I said, well, I'm doing a makeover on myself. And so I shopped for myself like I would have shopped for a star in a movie. And that's what I'm good at. Knowing what looks right, best color, best neckline, best cut, and seams and darts. And I am one who knows how to dress somebody so their clothes look great, so they fit right, and so on. So they're flattering. And I said, I'm going to buy a whole new wardrobe for myself in my new old size. And as I said, I'd been home 14 years every night with my kids. I had not gone out at night. And they were 10 and 14 in '05. And I thought, oh, I'd go out at night again, because my kids were older. My younger daughter even said, you should lose weight and you shouldn't wear high-waisted jeans, okay? They were very happy I got mid-rise jeans that sat below the waist. And that's what she said to me. I believe in December or January, '05, '04. She said, you should lose weight, Mom. You shouldn't wear high-waisted jeans. Okay, they wanted me to wear jeans like them. They were very happy about it. In fact, I took them on a vacation in Manhattan in 2007, and we bought True Religions there for $100 each. And that was fun for teenagers to do. And anyway, and that's because uh, anyway, very sad. We should have continued on with my prosperous real estate money and having vacations like that. But my way of spending money works because I'm one who would say, okay, how much money's in the bank? All right, I could spend 300 on True Religions and go buy us each a pair, and cash. So, anyway, um, it's horrible a person like me was so set up. Anyway, back to the story. And so in 2005, I lost the weight, and I did the Ristylane, and then I got a swing loan on my two-story house for 300,000, the equity out of it. I didn't owe any community property. As I said, it was split up January 2000, and I updated the two-story with my money. I spent about 70,000 of my real estate income updating the two-story to make more selling it. And that's how it is when you put your money in a house and you sell it, you get the money you spent on it back for the next house. It's like money in the bank. And so, and I knew all the ins and outs being a real estate agent, constantly running sales and comps and knowing what to do to the house to make more selling it. I got a $300,000 swing loan, went in Downey Savings, U.S. Bank, and I bought a perfect one-story house with it. Had large bedrooms for my daughters, large bathrooms with double sinks, laundry room in between their bedrooms off the hallway, 2,500 square feet approximately, one story for my mother, bedroom for my mom, and same school district. We'd been at since '97, same city, same county, 2 miles from the two-story. Location, 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 they say in real estate, perfect location. Exact style I wanted. Great floor plan. And I bought it with my real estate income and 40,000 down, and then with money from the 300,000 swing loan that went in Downey Savings. And I did, after I bought it, I said I'm going to, spend some of that money on new clothes and build up a new wardrobe for my then new walk-in closet. It was all planned to spend money on new clothes for my new old size, and I had the extra money to spend. I had a 300,000 swing loan on the two-story. And a lot of that was my money I got back I spent on the house. And anyway, but so um, everywhere I went, people would appear, just pop up out of nowhere. They call that gang stalking. When people show up wherever you go, sometimes they just show up and stare at you. And everywhere I went, somebody would show up. And this was after I had done the makeover, lost 25 pounds, bought all new clothes, did line filler. And that's how much a makeover cost me, $450. It takes the wrinkles off your face, takes 20 years off your age, or 10 years. And anyway, it's like Juvederm, Ristylane, Stylene, and I forget what it's called. Anyway, I decided I'm going to get rid of my wrinkles, and my one nice friend told me I should, and suggested it, I believe. And then she'd always suggest I needed to go do it like a year later. But it seems others were mad that I looked good and lost weight by the way they acted and by the way everybody appeared everywhere I went. And that's called gang stalking. So the perfect house came up April '05, and then It was in escrow. The middle of May '05, it came up back on market, and I said, "Oh, that's the house I wanted to see in April." But it was a million 37, and I was trying to stay under a million, around 900, 950, and those were fixer-uppers I would have spent cash on from the two-story. The house came up million 37, original dated custom built home, um, and that was in very good condition. I thought, well, I should just spend 75,000 more and buy a house I don't have to fix up, that's not a fixer-upper, that I don't have to spend cash on. And so, being a realtor, I knew running payments all the time, it would just make my payment a little bit higher, maybe $80 higher a month. I thought I'd rather buy a house that doesn't need any work and build it in my payment, and it'll just be about $80 more a month instead of a fixer-upper I have to spend all my cash on. And that's how I saw it, and it made total sense to buy a house in very good condition and for a little more. And at that time, well, I ran my payments, of course. I constantly did. So I was running payment sheets to see what my payment would be approximately on a house I bought. Running net sheets, what will I make selling? How much will I have to put down on a house I buy? And I did all the homework for myself. I did for buyers and sellers as a real estate agent. So I had it very planned out, and I was very organized and prepared, and that's why it went so smooth. And it seems people were mad, um, and thought, how could a single mom buy $1 million house? And how could somebody suddenly um, be a size 2 and not have wrinkles? Or, it seems that people were mad that I looked good, bought my dream house, was prosperous, everything was great and wonderful, and the way they acted, people's reactions, it was like they were mad instead of being happy for us. Because you'd think everybody would have been happy and said, "Oh, you look great, you lost weight. Oh, that you're doing so great in real estate. You bought that $1 million house. I'm so happy for you," they should have said. And they didn't. People acted mad, stormed around, smashed the mailbox twice. Cats went missing, my daughter's ballet bag by a car break-in in my real estate portfolio. Thefts were done, and stalking, and you name it. And it seems they're all mad for nothing. It seems they thought the money in Downey Savings was my mom's money when it was my money. And it seems, by what people said years after I bought it, um, it seems they thought I bought the house with my mom's money, and that they were mad for nothing because it was my money. And my mom didn't have any money in the Canal Valley. And I had a Nancy G. Fox Taylor Wells Fargo checking and savings in the Canal Valley from 2000 to 2009. And as I closed all my accounts when I was set up to DCFS, and carless and broke and had to walk across the San Fernando Valley to my mom's in Sherman Oaks. And it just went from being prosperous, great, wonderful, dry cleaning and car detailing and lots of money in the bank to being set up and broke and stuck instantly, just like in a snap. And anyway, I plan to continue living in that house and doubling my income and paying for 50,000 for each of my daughter's weddings, 50,000 for college and universities, and having a wonderful family life in the suburbs where we had lived for 12 years. And that ruined the whole plan. Years of family time we would have had in the house. It ruined my mom's plan to live in the house. And so anyway, in May '05, driving down the street, open house sign, and I said, "Oh, I think that's a house I wanted to see that fell out of escrow that's back on the market." And yes, it was. As it was fate. Walked in, perfect house, fell in love, and I already knew all about it. I already read all about it on the MLS. I had dreams about the inside of the house before I ever saw it. I had dreams of parking on the street and seeing a horse crossing sign on the corner. I had all these dreams before going to the house. And so I knew it was a perfect house. And from looking for 4 years and searching the MLS every day, and uh, and I sat in the car, wrote a full price offer, non contingent, $40,000 check from my money I had in the bank, probably a Wells Fargo check, and then ran home and faxed my offer to my mortgage brokers, Sharon and Brad Pfeiffer, and they faxed me a countrywide loan approval letter for Nancy Fox. I ran my buyer net sheet payment, $33.20 a month. I have a good memory. I save the papers. I'm one who saves important papers, luckily, and that helps me to prove things and piece things together, what was done. And she told me on the phone, "Oh, I have my payment estimate's 3,300." I said, "So is mine." And so I faxed her the offer, faxed her my bank statements, so she'd have my income for the loan approval, and I'm sure I faxed her the seller net sheet from the two-story that said I'd net 368,000 if I sold it for 750,000. And I'm sure I sent her the tract neighborhood comparables and the net sheet that showed what I'd make selling the house. Because that's how I was as a realtor, very efficient. I would send things people didn't even ask for all the time. So here's what I'll make on the house, about 400,000, one sheet said, and sent her my income, got a loan approval letter, and that's how it went. And then when my mom was at the house, she said, I want to go on the house with you. She loved the house to live there, wanted to see where her bedroom would be, and did, approved of the house to live there during the escrow. And then she said, I want to go on the house with you. So I called Sharon Pfeiffer, the mortgage broker, on her cell while my mom was at the house, and Sharon Pfeiffer said, great, if your mom goes on with her assets, it'll save you $320 a month on your payment. Your payment will be $3,000 instead of $3,320. So my mom and I said, great. And she said, go to Downey Savings with your mom and open a joint savings account because she's going on your house. And go to escrow and add her to your purchase contract. So my mom and I did that. We went to the escrow company, which happened to be in Sherman Oaks, and that was the listing agent's seller's escrow company, and which happened to be near my mom's house. Because I put seller's choice, seller's choice, seller's choice to get the house I wanted, because I knew as a realtor, if you really want a house, a buyer wants a house, you write an offer the seller will sign. Full price or more than full price. Non-contingent. Escrow, seller's choice. Title, seller's choice. You don't ask for credits or work to be done. You just seller's choice, full price. You write an offer the seller will hopefully sign. In case another offer comes in, you want the offer signed to open escrow. So I wrote a great offer, being a realtor, buying my own house that I loved so much and wanted so bad. And I wrote a great offer, and it went perfectly. And so my mom and I opened an account at Downey Savings, U.S. Bank, where I already had a checking, Nancy Fox, for about a year. I told my mortgage brokers, Sharon and Brad Pfeiffer, who I did about 7 escrows with, and they gave me a lot of business, a lot of real estate referrals to list homes and to sell homes to buyers. They gave me a lot of real estate business, and I did about 7 escrows with them. In January '05, I told them, I'm selling and buying this year, and they said, oh, you should open an account at Downey Savings. They're really nice. I believe it was a new bank. And so I did. It was right near our house. And I thought, well, I'll just open a checking account there. It's so close. And that's what she suggested. So I opened a checking at Downey Savings, Nancy Fox. And then when I told Sharon Pfeiffer my mom wants to go on the house with her assets, that meant with her house and her bank accounts in the San Fernando Valley. Anyway, she said, open an account at Downey Savings with your mom. So my mom and I went in and opened a joint savings, Denise S. Fox and Nancy G. Fox. And then when I told Sharon Pfeiffer I need a swing loan on my house, she got me a $300,000 swing loan, and she deposited it in the Denise S. Fox and Nancy G. Fox savings at Downey U.S. Bank. I transferred the money, my two-story equity, bridge loan, swing loan money, to my checking at Downey, Nancy Fox, and wired it to escrow and bought the house. I had about $100,000 left of the money, and I said I'm going to spend $40,000 to update the house before we move in. Pavers, plasters, hardwood, like I planned. I'm spending $3,000 on family room furniture, $3,000 on clothes to build up a new wardrobe. Since I'm back to my old size, I'm going to stay at size 2 or 4, and I budgeted and paid cash for what I planned. Like I said, I'm a person who pays cash. $40,000 cash. Update the house. That was to the painters and painters, plasters, paver men, plumbers. Cash. Wrote them checks. Went to Home Depot. ATM card. Cash. It was all done with cash, except the hardwood floors. And anyway, and then I paid cash for furniture, cash for clothes from my swing loan, my equity from my two-story house. And as I said, I owed no community property. That was all split, legal separation. January 2000, I'd paid the mortgage alone for 5.5 years. I updated the house with my money, and I paid for everything, property taxes, everything, my daughter's expenses. Happily, I paid for everything myself as a single mom, real estate lady. Didn't owe my ex-husband a penny. And that's a fact. And anyway, it seems people were mad for nothing, and I try to figure out all the reasons they might have thought something that was wrong. Like they might have thought I just got divorced and took the money and bought a house, and no. I'd paid a mortgage alone 5.5 years with no child support and updated the house with my money I made as a realtor working hard. And they might have thought that was my mom's money I bought the house with. It was my money. And could have been her money if she wanted to be a joint owner. She was going to live there. Families often do that. And that wouldn't have mattered if she wanted to buy the house with me. But no, it was not her money. She used her assets only. It was my money that I bought the house with. And here I thought, housewarming party, October 8th, 05, everybody'd be so happy and say, God, you're doing so great as a realtor, bought this beautiful house for your daughters and your mother, and you're such a nice person, and you lost weight and looked great, and you did a great job updating and decorating. Here I thought everybody would think it was so wonderful, like they should have. And a couple people were like that who I bumped into. They'd say, how do you do it all? You do it all. You're a mom, you're a realtor, and you do it all by yourself. And some people did say that to me. They'd say, you're amazing. How do you do all this yourself? And some people did acknowledge it and would say that to me. And some did not. They were sneering, they were mad, and mad for nothing. Why would they be mad? We bought a nice house in the same area, and I was a successful real estate agent. And that's how it all began. in '05, and I ran into one mortgage broker I had done about 10 escrows with, and told her I had bought a house in the estate neighborhood, and she acted so mad and said, "What, are you crazy?" Like that. I'm thinking, what planet are you from? I thought it was so disrespectful because I gave her like 100 loan referrals, did 10 escrows with her. You'd think she would have been so happy for us and said, "Oh, that's great. I'll give you referrals. You'll do great there." You would think. And she acted so mad that I bought a house in the estate neighborhood. And then, another person one day came running in and said, "Oh, you're so lucky your mom helps you with money." Like they thought my mom bought the house or something. And I said, "I know. Well, she's going to live here." So here I'm gonna stay home. Was gonna stay with my mom the rest of her life, take care of her, and never go on a vacation, and be the devoted daughter. And bought the house so my mom would go to an elder care, so she'd live with us. And people should have seen how nice I was. What a great daughter and a great mom. That's how they should have seen it. Instead, they're all mad. Why are they mad? They're mad I lost weight and looked good in True Religion jeans and bought $1 million house and updated it and bought furniture when they should have been so happy for us. Instead, they're all storming around acting mad for nothing. And that's what happened. And anyway, 2005, bought the house and was so happy. I felt so wonderful there. It was so great. And then the negative things started happening. In '05, the mailbox on the post was smashed on the ground, broken literally, which I believe was to do ID theft, to steal my mail and money out of the mailbox on a post in front of the house I bought. And then in February, uh, we had gone to my daughter's Royal Academy of Dance Ballet show at Pepperdine University, Smothers Theater, where she was in a ballet performance probably 10 times. She was in Royal Academy of Dance starting at age 4. And so this was a normal thing. I paid $330 a month for ballet lessons. I remember the amount, ballet, tap, jazz. And that was her life. I drove her to dance 3 days a week. And she's an excellent tap dancer. She had a tap dance solo at the Pepperdine Smothers Theater show. And that was in early '06. Okay? Now, right after this, my SUV was broken into in our driveway, and her Royal Academy of Dance ballet bag was stolen by the car break-in, full of dance costumes, toe shoes, leotards, tights, and my real estate listing portfolio was stolen. And it seems they didn't like our life. Royal Academy of Dance, a realtor selling estates, buying $1 million house, buying nice clothes, doing Ristylane and True Religion jeans, and it seems people did not like our life that I was so happy about and that we all worked so hard for, my daughters and myself. And it seems they just wanted to ruin all the work we'd done, all our years in that community. I was on the homeowners board for the two-story neighborhood. I I volunteered at the elementary school. I paid for T-shirts for the fun run. I paid for the fundraiser at the Sherwood Estates with Sharon Pfeiffer and Brad Pfeiffer, the mortgage brokers I worked with. I paid for the voicemail system at the elementary school. I tithed. I spent part of my real estate commission money on the elementary school, at the PFC luncheon, the Sherwood fundraiser, the fun run, and so on. And I did a lot of community work, and I spent a lot of money on the community. And I bought my clothes after the diet in the community. I bought, I would spend 400 at a local business owner's store. And that is a good person who makes good money, working hard, and spends it in their community. And anyway, they seems everybody hated me for what I did good. It seems they didn't like I bought $1 million house, and my daughter was in Royal Academy of Dance 10 years in a show at Pepperdine University. My other daughter was in equestrian shows, a hunter jumper, and it seems people were jealous with envy, or they were mad and thought a single mom bought a house with her mom's money from Downey Savings, or a loan her mom got. No, I did not. That was my money in Downey Savings. That was my bridge swing loan money from the two-story that I paid off when that escrow closed in October '05. I borrowed my money from my house to buy a new house. I paid the money off I borrowed from my house with my seller proceeds, as I knew how to do all of this as a real estate expert. And then, uh, well, uh, so my car was broken into, ballerina bag stolen after my daughter was in a show at Pepperdine. Real estate listing portfolio stolen that had my award of merit in it from selling 5 homes my first year as a real estate agent. Had all my listing flyers in it, color flyers. That's what I took to listing appointments to list houses. So somebody was trying to ruin our life, our income, our livelihood, our prosperity. And we worked hard for this life. As I said, I started selling homes as a realtor in 1999. My daughter started Royal Academy of Dance at age 4, and here she was 11 years old. Her Royal Academy of Dance bag was stolen by a car break-in in our driveway, my SUV. Is that not fishy and suspicious? Then, 4 pairs of True Religion jeans, 200 piece, went missing from my walk-in closet. And then our two of our cats went missing Labor Day '08 when stalkers had been there. And I'm the biggest cat lover on earth. And in '07, the market started slowing. It was the global financial crisis from '07 summer to '09 spring. Global financial crisis. Nobody could get a loan to buy a house. The market started slowing in '07, and agents were told you might want to get a loan from family to get through the slow real estate loan market. Nobody will be able to get a loan to buy a house. I was told that at the office. That was after it already started slowing. I was still working. I still had listings. I had buyers. I had escrows. But it was slowing down. And, well, my readings say these gang stalkers who frame nice parents and do ID theft bug phones and steal their work calls and things like this. And my readings also say they go by everything they see a person do, and security cameras, and by phone bugging and hacking, and they don't ask them a question. And that's what many say. That and then they frame the parents when they did nothing wrong. It's all based on assumptions and false allegations. And like they might have thought when I went to Downey Savings in person and transferred my money from the savings to my checking, they might have thought I transferred my mom's money to buy clothes and furniture and update the house. When no, I did not. And my reading says they just make notes of what they see people doing and guess and set them up when they did nothing wrong at all and don't ask a question. And my reading says they steal work calls by bugging phones. And, well, that they probably, it seems they were doing that to me because my calls suddenly slowed in '07. And here I paid money for my listing flyers, my sign out front, my number out front, my ads in the LA Times, and I paid a lot to run my listings that I worked hard to get. They don't grow on trees. So I invested a lot of money into the listings I had, and I didn't get to recoup a lot of it because I was set up. I didn't even get back the money I spent. And I believe my calls were stolen because suddenly the calls slowed. And anyway, in '07, I told my mom, real estate market's slowing. I have escrows, I have listings, all this business going on. I have to run my business. And she said, "Oh, I'll get you money at Charles Schwab. I'll get you money at Citibank." She called every week. "Do you need money? Do you need money? I have money." That's what my mom did. My very nice mom, who passed away July 5th, 2021, and never got to live in the house. She would call every week and ask me if I needed money. And and I said yes in '07. And she said, "I don't want you to pay me back because you're such a hard worker and you're such a good mom. And because you're the one there for me if I need something." That's what she said every time. "Don't tell the other kids," meaning my siblings. And so she got me money at Charles Schwab Citibank and said, "Do not pay me back. I do not want you to. I want you to have the money because you're the one there for me. If I need something, I take care of you and you'll take care of me." Meaning, I was going to take care of her in the house the rest of her life, and she wasn't going to an elder care. So it's like she gave me money in advance to take care of her, and always said, "That's our secret pact. I take care of you, you take care of me. Don't tell the other kids." And she always said, "I don't need the money, you need the money," because she was getting older. And she was probably, I can't think right now how old she was, but she was probably in her late 80s. And so that's what my nice mom did and said, "I take care of you, you take care of me." Meaning she was giving me money when I asked to borrow it in the slow real estate market to run my business, and that I'd take care of her in the house, and that I was there for her if she needed something. And then she did need me because in '08 she got a memory loss and lost her California driver's license. So I took 3 days off of work to drive to Sherman Oaks and drive my mom around to the doctor, dentist, mammogram, to get her prescription and to go to breakfast and so on. And so she lost her driver's license in '08, and so I took 3 half days of work off to drive my mom around in Sherman Oaks because we had our secret pact. I take care of you, take care of me. She needed something, I was there. And that's how my mom and I were. And that's why she gave me money in '07 and said, "Do not tell your brother or sister I helped you with money." She did not want them to know about it. It was private business. And people pried where they weren't supposed to and called around um, to Charles Schwab and were mad. My mom gave me money she didn't want them to know about. And that happened because I got a mad email about it that said, "What's this money, Mom, from Mom's account and this loan and this and that," and said, "Get a real job for a living." When here I made 150,000 a year selling homes, I was going to make 300,000 a year. And they weren't supposed to know she gave me money. She didn't want to hurt their feelings. She didn't want them to know she gave me money and not them. And they were mad about it. And they told me they were mad. And so that's part of it, is they were nosing around where they weren't supposed to be. It's private and they weren't supposed to know about it. So they were mad about that. And that's the ones that lied to set me up, my brother and sister. Because they wanted on our mother's checking account. She didn't want them on. And they set me up to get on the checking account, and that's a fact, by an email sent. In fall '07, when the agents were told in the office, "You might want to get a loan from family to get through the slow real estate market," I drove to Sherman Oaks, told my mother it's going to be a frozen real estate market the next year, And what did she say? Oh, I can get a loan. That's what she said. I had a very nice mom. And she always had hundreds of thousands, Citibank, Charles Schwab, my whole life. I guess probably since age 10. She inherited money from family because she was such a nice single mom. So she always had hundreds of thousands, Charles Schwab, Citibank. And I didn't ever borrow money, or she never gave me money until '07. Any money before that I repaid with a post-dated check. A couple times I borrowed 4,000, said I'll pay you back when my escrow closes, and I wrote her a post-dated check she deposited. And '07 was the first time that she gave me money ever. '07. And that's the only year. And anyway, in fall '07, she said, I can get you a loan. And so she did from Wachovia, 120 a month. And I thought, no big deal. I'll just pay it off when I refi my house or with an escrow check. And it was 120 a month for 8 years. And it wouldn't have affected us, anybody. That way she kept her money in Charles Schwab Citibank to live on. And, that nobody was supposed to know about. Personal private business of Denise S. Fox's. And everybody found out and got mad. And they lived an hour away from her, 5 hours away, moved away in 1970, weren't involved in our lives, and except once a year, Christmas or so. And suddenly they're all mad for nothing. They're mad that she helped me with money when they lived an hour, 5 hours away. They weren't there helping our mother. They weren't the one there if she needed something. I was. And that's why she helped me and gave me money. Because I'm the one that was there for her and they were not. And they were mad when they weren't doing anything about it. They didn't come to help drive her around when she lost her driver's license. And I was set up to DCFS in '09, and around the same time her living trust will went missing from her house in Sherman Oaks. It says, First Trustee, Nancy G. Fox-Taylor. First Trustee Executor of the Denise S. Fox Family Trust. And I was POA, Wells Fargo, 1978 when I turned 18. Denise S. Fox, Wells Fargo Checking. Nancy G. Fox, Power of Attorney. And she'd had that same checking since the 1970s. Always, she'd say, I've had the same checking account number for 40 years or 30 years or something. I've had the same checking account number. She was so proud of it. And when they set me up with lies, they ran and changed her bank account somehow that she didn't want them on. She didn't want them in her business. As first in '09, well, after all this went on, vandalism, mailbox and car thefts, or things from the car stolen, clothes stolen, and stalkers swarming, and a black Cadillac tinted windows drove right next to me, and I drove my daughter to Westlake High School in '09. Like the devil in disguise, he felt very eerie and scary. A man in a black Cadillac tinted windows drove right next to me when I drove my older daughter to Westlake High School in spring '09, probably May '09. A yellow Corvette zipped past the driveway as I was pulling out of the driveway around Labor Day '08, probably when the cats were stolen, or probably early '09. They were literal stalkers. I kept my daughters home from school for a few days due to the stalking, as I thought they were human traffickers or kidnappers after my daughters. Then I lied about to DCFS. I said, oh my God, those stalkers are rapists or a kiddie porn ring after my kids who framed me to DCFS. They probably take people through the system so they're not reported missing. That is what I thought. And that's what everybody says. And luckily, my kids are grown-up mothers, and I have grandchildren. And anyway, but well, that's what Senator Nancy Schaefer said too in 2010. That is what I thought. I thought the stalkers lied about me. They're probably rapists or a kiddie porn ring or something after my two beautiful daughters. That's what I thought. I thought, who else would lie about a nice mom like me? Especially with the black Cadillac tinted windows stalking on Lakeview Canyon when I, by Westlake High School. Okay, that was scary. Why are all these, why, I'm thinking, why are all these scary things going on? All of this suspicious activity. What is going on? How could all this be going on, this negative energy and this vandalism and getting cooties all over our property with their dirty hands on our mailbox and stealing our cats we loved and our property from my car, a single mom realtor, ballet, equestrian show mother? I'm like, what in the world? And that's what happened. And I thought, dirty cooties all over our property. They ruined the whole ambiance, our whole happy life just by that, by stocking the mailbox. And then in early '09, somebody who had been a wardrobe assistant for me when I was a costume designer called and said they wanted me to train them to be a real estate agent. And so I said, sure, I'd train them, and told them to go to the training at my company to be able to put their license there, which they never did. Then they said they were going to Prudential Calabasas. And then the person showed up on the porch with a real estate customer I sold a home to, who I never introduced her to. Kept showing up on the porch like 2 or 3 times. And one time they just barged right in the house. This was all around the time I was slandered and set up. And anyway, that's all very suspicious. Why would she come from half an hour away in Calabasas, show up on the porch with a real estate customer she never met? Okay, that alone would have ruined my business. That was an act of betrayal. Then she faxed a listing agreement upside down. It didn't go through. Couldn't look me in the eye. And she was very suspicious. And I told her, get off my property. Go to Al-Anon. Mind your own business. And that was it. And we're no longer friends. And that was somebody who had been a wardrobe assistant when I was a costume designer. And I thought it would be great if she helped me with my real estate business when my car broke down. And no, it was not great. She went to Prudential Calabasas. We parted ways on the phone. But she showed up on the porch with a real estate customer I sold a house to. Now that could have ruined my whole real estate business. Why would she backstab me and betray me, contact a customer and make me look bad? That's what she did. And that was in spring '09. And then my brother lied I was suicidal when I was not and never have been in my life. And then DCFS came. For no reason, I thought I'd never see him again. And that's when I showed him how I'm owed $120,000 back child support, our camp, orthodontist bills, and showed it all on the table, visitation schedule. Their dad saw him our younger daughter 2 hours a week. They knew I paid for everything. And DCFS said they couldn't help me with money. Then they threw welfare papers on the table. A realtor could not get welfare, okay? In our $1 million house, they threw welfare papers. When my car broke down, that's what happened. And then they had us come to the office. My older daughter didn't want to go, and 2 times she slept in, and said, "I don't want to go to that dumb DCFS meeting." And then, begrudgingly, we went. And then they said they spoke to my sister. I said, well, why would you talk to my sister? She drinks. I'm sober in AA since 1985. She has no children, never wanted any, lives 5 hours away, and isn't involved in our suburb life. And that would not be a credible person to talk to. And that's literally what I said. Why would you talk to my sister who has no kids and drinks, lives 5 hours away, when I'm a long time sober nice suburb mom. And she's never around us in our life. So she did a false report secretly, and they said they had other reports, and I knew there was nothing that could be in their reports. Then they do a not need emergency custody when my younger daughter's already at her dad's for summer visitation. Because I took a 30-day job on a movie costume supervisor to have a car and money just to deal with the nonsense. Because my car broke down, because my mom's car was disconnected, license plate took off. My brother and sister didn't want me to borrow our mother's car when she couldn't drive it because she had no license from memory loss. That's how I was set up, and that's a fact. And I look back and piece this all together, and I don't receive the mail and money that I should since this was done. And my mother's will went missing the week I was set up. Around that time, her checking account was changed with when she had memory loss that she only wanted me to be power of attorney on. So this was coercion and manipulation. And this was by many, it seems, that I saw with my eyes, that I saw emails from with my eyes. Mad for nothing emails about money my mom gave me and loaned me that they weren't supposed to know about. And as I'm honest and trustworthy and good for my word, and that's why she made me first trustee executor of her Denise S. Fox Family Trust, which was a living trust will. She was a trustee of. Her money was hers when she was living, not the family's. That's why she made me power of attorney on her Wells Fargo checking in 1978 when I was 18, because she trusted me, because I'm the one who stayed in LA County to live near my mother, and they did not. I am the one who was committed and devoted to being near my mom, and they were not. They moved away in 1970. Now, a parent often will do more for the child, the grown-up child, who's there for them if they need something, and not for the ones who moved away in 1970, who lived an hour, 5 hours away. I am the one who called my mom 5 times a day. I am the one who bought her one story for her to live with us so she would not go to an elder care. I am the one who drove her to the doctor, dentist, mammograms, for prescriptions at Costco when she lost her driver's license. We helped each other. We relied on each other. We depended on each other, and that was a given. And they ruined it all. And they changed things that weren't supposed to be changed, like her Denise S. Fox Wells Fargo checking, like stealing her will and living trust from the house that I'm first trustee executor of, like taking all her money from Citibank that they told me in person. My mom didn't have her own money to live on in '09 and 10, 11. She didn't get her Mellon Bank check in the mail that was her spending cash every month. She didn't have her own ATM card or mail. Neither did I. And that's what they did to us. Made us broke and stuck. And here, and I had 166,000 real estate business going in '09. And they've set me up when they should have brought me my mom's car, our mom's car. Okay, you're supposed to help a nice single mom realtor and say, bring Nance the car so she can sell houses and drive her kids around. No, they set me up. They slandered me. They ruined our lives. And that's Steve and Linda Fox, my brother and sister. And that's the old wardrobe assistant who showed up on the porch and wanted me to train her to be a realtor. And that's the women who parked and stared at the mailbox. And that's whoever smashed it on the ground twice, whoever stole our cats Labor Day '08. They did all that to us. Now, I have ID theft since. I don't get mail or money as I should since this big setup in '09, June, July. This was very wrong. We were supposed to be in that house and with my mom, my daughters going to high school, college, and universities, throwing weddings and when they were 30 and so on, and or 20. My daughters got married earlier than that. But anyway, um, we well that was my plan. I planned to spend 50,000 on each wedding, 50,000 college universities, and 40,000. My mother said she'd pay for my older daughter to go to UCLA. She said it 3 times. Okay, we were supposed to be in that house with my older daughter going to UCLA. My mom offered to pay for it. I would have paid for it, and I was going to be there with her diamond ring on my hand, with her under our roof, making 300,000 a year, with our cats and our happy ballet life and so on, all kaput like that, instant. As my mom always told me every week at Solly's Deli, I took her to breakfast in '08 when she got dementia. She, every time I went to a restaurant, she'd always say, "This big diamond ring's going to be yours someday." Always, always said it. She always said she wanted me to have the big diamond ring. And then in fall '07, when I was leaving her house one night, she yelled out the front door, "I want you to have Grandma's big diamond ring soon." Like she was going to give it to me in fall '07. Went missing after Thanksgiving, 3 diamond platinum heirloom rings. Missing. Right when she wanted to give me my grandma's big diamond ring. Missing. Could not find them. We filed a police report for lost stolen rings in March 2008. Okay? Now we were supposed to be in that house I loved so much. My mom's diamond ring on my hand. My older daughter going to UCLA from Moorpark College. My younger daughter, cheerleader at Agora High, graduating Royal Academy Dance Ballet, and so on. All the plans fell to the wayside because I was lied about, because we were stalked, because of what they did to us. And since then, I have obvious identity theft. And when I opened PayPal, 2013, April, not long after that, AOL said a group told them my PayPal email address was their group's email. I told AOL on the phone, no, there is no group. This is only my email, and this is my PayPal email. And my date of birth was changed in my AOL account, my alternate email, like hackers did it. Somehow, someone changed my AOL information in my PayPal email, medium the number 4, Jesus God at AOL, that I still have, and that I've spent years sending out, posting, you name it, for Fox Taylor family victims money, for justice to prevail, and so on, and for my Meeting for God business. I have spent years, 13 years, sending out my PayPal email for PayPal. I'm pretty sure they're stealing all of it, because why would they lie to AOL that my PayPal email was their group email? And how did my information get changed in my account? And those are facts. And that's a clue, isn't it? Yes. That shows ID theft. They're robbing my PayPal. I opened it in April 2013. Now, my younger daughter was 18 when I opened PayPal. The not needed case file had been closed for 3 years when I opened my PayPal. Okay? The case was closed and dismissed and said no monitor. July 2010. Overdone. I thought that's behind us, door shut, move on, start again. No. No such thing. Don't receive mail as I should. Don't receive PayPal like I should. And all the lies had been dismissed without prejudice in '09. My older daughter dismissed from the case in '09 because she turned 18 in September '09. And I gave my daughter's power of attorney, a general business power of attorney, in 2014, in case somebody was lying they have a power of attorney for me they don't have, to the banks and post office and PayPal. I thought, well, I'll give them power of attorney to wipe out any bogus power of attorney that somebody could be doing with all the framing they did and lies that were dismissed. So I gave my two daughters a business power of attorney in 2014. Now they were probably, let's see, 19 and 22 then. So I'm just adding that in because I feel I'm robbed blind, and I have been. I feel I've been robbed 21 years. So I feel it started with the mailbox stalking, and I feel they wanted to rob my real estate business out from under me, and they wanted to ruin my income and frame me an overnice mom with hate crimes when they were mad for nothing. And that's what happened. And it's a sad story, and so that's why I'm doing this video. Family court, broken families, $1 billion problem. That I found this searching on images, and I thought, well, that big go, $1 billion problem. I feel they rob the family's money. The parents they frame who are nice, and they do it with ill purpose, and ulterior motives, and there should never be a case file, as I should have never been a case file.